It's a special day. It's a special day. We're having a party of sorts. It's a special day. Raleigh, North Carolina. Welcome in. You've now entered the RDU Live Radio Show right here on Oak 93.5 WRLY. And I'm your host, Cameron McCarty. I appreciate you for tuning in. If you're listening out there on the roadways, want to make sure you're buckling up. That traffic is kind of crazy. I know we're a little late getting started, but that's okay. That's okay. You've been listening to some good tracks. I know you have. Make sure you're buckling up out there. And if you're watching on one of the streams on YouTube, Facebook, Live 365, wherever you might be, I appreciate you as well. Go ahead, put something in the comments. Let us know you're watching. Let us know you're listening. And don't forget to hit that like, share, and subscribe button. They say it helps the algorithm or something like that. And no matter where you're at, whether you're in the Triangle or around the world watching, like always, this is a call-in show. And that means when we're not playing music, the phone lines are wide open. And that phone number is 919-899-9305. That's 919-899-9305. Look, if you heard when I first got on here, we were just talking just a little bit. It's a special day. Today is the 1-year anniversary of the RDU Live show being live on the airwaves right here on Oak 93.5. Today is the day. We actually went live for our first time on September 5th. That was September 5th of 2023. And so today it's kind of that same timing. It's September 3rd, 2024. So the Tuesdays, of course, are not going to match up exactly. So today we're looking at it and celebrating it as 1 year of being on the airwaves. And today is just all about gratitude, all about thanks, giving you guys an update on where we've come from, how this thing started, where we're going, and just having a good time about it. I'm going to be giving some shout outs and naming people by name on this particular show, letting you know some events that we have coming up and just all the like. So today is just one of those days. Once again, the phone lines are open if you want to call in and have a conversation with me. That is always something that we want to do right here on the RDU Live Radio Show right here on Oak 93.5 WRLY. All right, so First things first is I want to say thank you to all the listeners that have been tuning in on Tuesdays, whether this is your first time listening or you've been tuning in since September 5th, 2023, or somewhere in between. I want to give a special shout out to all of the listeners out there because, I mean, that's really what makes this thing run. This is why we do it. And you know, listening to us on the airwaves is a choice. It's a choice that you make. And, you know, whether you listen for 1 minute or the full hour from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m., it doesn't matter. You just turn in that FM dial, you typing us into YouTube or Facebook, and you clicking on a link. Whatever you've done to tune into the show in any time, in any interval, in any increment, I appreciate you. We appreciate you. We, the RDU Live team, we appreciate all of the listeners, all of the fans, all of the callers, everybody that's called in along the way. We've had some amazing callers, some to just give some thanks, some to have some conversations, some to just be a little humorous. It's been great. And so all of the callers, special callers, I appreciate you. That really is a special feature of this show, of this platform, that we have call in listeners live. Hey, and just to give you guys a little bit behind the scenes, we don't screen the callers. We don't screen the callers here. So when somebody calls in, we're hearing them first, just like the listeners are. There isn't a producer in the background that's got people on hold and finding out their information and their names and knowing what they're going to ask and talk about. That's not how we do it around these parts. So callers, When you call in, you're calling directly to whoever the host is, whoever the guest is sitting across from the table, and that conversation is live in the moment. And it makes the show special. It makes the show different and organic, and it makes it spontaneous. So that's why we say call in. If there's a guest over there that you want to talk to, if you want to have a conversation about the topic of the day, all of the above, then let's do it. Let's have that moment. Okay? So that's for the fans. Now, I talked about the team. I want to, just kind of reel it in and talk about some key people that have been making this thing run. So if you've been starting from the beginning, we're going to talk about how everything really started in just a second. But from a thank you standpoint, if you've been watching from the beginning, I started off as the first host of the RDU Live Show of this segment right here. I've been the principal host and kind of producing this thing in the background and keeping the ship going. But over the course of a year, we've really kind of built out a small team that works in the background and on camera. And that team consists of myself as one of the lead producers and hosts of the RDU Live Show. It consists of our production manager. We have a production manager and creative director. She happens to be my girlfriend, actually, Marissa Bryant. She does a lot of the background stuff. She's not one of the hosts. Her thing isn't being on camera. She actually has been across sitting and talking about some financial aid things from a college perspective. But her thing isn't really being on camera. She does more of the logistics and a lot of the flyers and the artwork. If you go to the RDU Live Show on Instagram, you'll see some of her work on there. And she does a lot of that and communicating with a lot of the ancillary people that are connected and just kind of keeping the glue together in the background and putting a lot of the meetings and stuff together. All of that administrative work that has to happen to make the show run for a year. So shout out to Marissa Bryant. And then you know who they are. You've seen them on here before. Camus Leonardo and Tyra Lynn. Camus Leonardo and Tyra Lynn. They are the other two hosts for RDU Live. And what does that mean? So RDU Live, like I said, we started off with myself. But I didn't want to just do this on my own. We want to have more people. We want to be able to have a community that's bigger than just the people that I know. So we brought on some more hosts. And we brought on Camus Leonardo first. He's a local artist here. He's a local artist, a musician, a rapper of sorts, but he's more than just that. He's almost a community activist in a certain way, in his own right. He does a lot of things for nonprofits. He comes from that kind of lineage, and he has a golden spirit about him, and that's one of the reasons why we wanted to bring him on. One, he is literally tapped in. The name of his segment is Tapped In. He's tapped into the local community, the local hip hop scene here, but also what he stands for and who he is and what he's trying to do and elevate is why we wanted to bring him to be a part of this team. And literally he has done just that. He's brought some amazing guests in to sit down and have conversations with him. He's been hosting some shows on his own, just like I do, like I am right now, and just having genuine conversations with the listeners out there. So Camus Leonardo is our other host, a part of the RDU Live team. And then Tyra Lynn, our most recent add to the roster. Tyra Lynn, she is a celebrity in her own right? She's been doing radio and webcasting and podcasting for years now. And once again, the same concept. She has a totally different audience, her own unique vibe, as well as good spirit, a great person in general. And we wanted to bring her on so that she could bring some of that light and that energy to the RDU Live Show right here on Oak 93.5. And she's done just that. She has her own segment. It's the Tyra Lynn Tunes In segment. I think she calls herself your homegirl hostess. And she says it on camera, but truly that is her vibe all the time. That is just who she is. So shout out to Marissa Bryant, our production manager, creative director in the background, holding it down. Shout out to Camus Leonardo. He's our hip hop aficionado, our local tapped in segment. And then Tyra Lynn with Tyra Lynn Tunes In. So Camus Leonardo and Tyra Lynn, they're hosts on the show, but they're also like brand ambassadors for what we do. They actually go out to events and promote and support the brand alongside themselves. They have other endeavors that they're doing. They do shows and they do their own podcast outside of the RDU Live show. So all of us are just coming together, banding together to make this RDU Live thing work. That's what we're doing. That's what we're doing. That's the RDU Live team and a core structure that has evolved and come about over the course of this year. Got to give a shout out to Oak 93.5. Got to give a shout out to Oak 93.5. Steven in the background. So if you've been watching the show, if you've been watching on the stream, you might see him come in every now and again. You usually see it when something sounds a little off or something is a little amiss. He comes in, he swoops in, he fixes it, he saves the day, and he goes back and he chills out. That's what he does. A lot of the things you see, not a lot, all of the things you see and hear from an audible sense, Steven is working really hard in the background to make sure that the product is delivered. He's the engineer. He's a producer. He's the engineer. He's the all of the above for the Oak 93.5 platform in general. So RDU Live Show, hey, we're one of the segments on here. But there's a lot of segments on Oak 93.5, and all of us have to band together and go through Steven. Steven makes it all work for all of us. He keeps this thing afloat. When you see things pop up on the screen, when you see like the cool little movements that happen, that's Steven working in the background. And so I want to thank Steven for this opportunity. A year ago, I reached out to Steven and said, hey, this is what we're trying to do. We'd love to come on. And Steven said, yeah, let's do it. Let's set up some time and teach you a little bit and let's make it happen. And for that, I am very grateful to Steven and Oak 93.5. So kind of going with that, I want to give you guys just a little bit of how this thing started and how it's going on. I'm going to save the backside of the hour. So about 6:30 on, I'm going to be shouting out some individual people that have been on the show, and just giving some love to everybody, all of the guests. But for this moment, I just kind of want to work through how we started this thing off. So before September 5th, 2023, we were doing some things in Durham. Doing some things meaning like podcast style things. So I was doing like Man on the Street, which we still do now. Man on the Street, like news style segment. And we were going to different places, really rooted in the music community with a strong slant to the jazz community. I like jazz music, and I still feel that jazz is one of those art forms that has to be preserved. And luckily for us here in the Triangle, there is a very strong jazz community because of the different programs in the area, Central, Duke, and others. And even from the high school level, the arts level, there's a very strong jazz presence in the Triangle. And what I said is, hey, I would like to showcase some of that. So we were going around and showcasing some of those different artists and different jazz jam sessions like we still do to this day. And we found ourselves wanting to, kind of do some things on a more consistent basis. So not events based, but something that was consistent, that people could come in and have a conversation, and we could do it at whatever interval. And we stumbled upon Oak 93.5, this platform here. And like I said, we reached out to Steven. We actually stumbled upon it through DJ T Wild. He comes on after us. DJ T Wild, he was doing a show over at Durham Central Park. I saw his turntables. He has these cool turntables that actually have 93.5 on them. And I said, what is that? What is that? And that's kind of how we got funneled into this. And I reached out to Steven, and like I said, Steven was very gracious and understanding of what we're trying to do as far as a community perspective, and said, hey, come on to the platform. And that's how we got here. That's how we got here, just from that concept of wanting to do something consistently, bringing some guests on and sharing the platform, sharing a bigger platform than what we had. And that's how we got here. And then, as I said before, it started with myself, and now we've added on a couple hosts, and it's really blossoming. And that first show, I have to give, this is kind of a start of giving shout outs individually. I got to give some shout outs. When we first started this thing, we didn't have a strong network. We didn't have this huge network, and we're still building on that. But at that time, a year ago, CJ Baker, if you've been watching the show, you understand that I give shout outs a lot. And a lot of that recurring shout out is to a guy named CJ Baker. If you don't know CJ Baker, I don't know where you've been. CJ Baker is a local musician here in the Triangle. He's based locally, but he's worldwide at this particular point. He's a drummer in the area, and he hosts an open mic night. We're going to talk about that at the bottom of the hour. He hosts an open mic night. That's just one of the things he does. He plays all around the Triangle, all around North Carolina, for different acts, whether local acts or national acts when they come through. He's just one of those drummers that he's the guy. He's the guy. And he was gracious enough to be the first guest on our show. He was the first guest on the show. And through him, we've been able to start the show, but then we're able to network and find other musicians, find other people. And so for that, just like Steven giving us the chance to be on this platform and sustaining us in the background, in a very similar way, CJ has helped. He saw the vision that we've been putting forth. And he wasn't afraid to jump in here with us, and he wasn't afraid to put his name behind this when he didn't have to. And he's been sending artists our way ever since. And so that's why you hear us shout out CJ Baker and the crew so much, because even to this day, he's a supporter. He's a background supporter that's holding this thing up. And so I have to give a special shout out to CJ Baker. The next shout out, once again, we're going down the line. I'm going to get a little bit quicker, but in true fashion, one of the people that he sent to us was Alan Thompson. Alan Thompson, if you're out there listening, man, I appreciate you for coming on the show. You've actually been on twice now, Alan Thompson. He's once again a local musician, entrepreneur in the area, amazing saxophonist. He's radio host. He's amazing. I don't know if this is a word, conversationalist. Is that a word? If it's not a word, I'm going to make it a word. He's an amazing conversationalist. Can have a conversation with anybody, and I love talking to him. We go surface level, then we dive deep, come back surface. It's always just a great, well-rounded conversation with Alan. So thank you, Alan, for coming on and supporting in the way that you do and showing love, man. I appreciate you. We appreciate you here from RDU Live. All right, who we got next? We're going down the list here. I actually came prepared today. So, next we had Camus Leonardo. Camus Leonardo, you already know, man. I appreciate you for coming on. And we didn't know each other when we met, but, you came and said, hey, yeah, you saw a vision, and now we in this thing together. We having meetings twice a week now. It's crazy, how a year changes things. Carrie Reed, comedy off the 147. We've been working, man, for a year, 2 years. In this time span, we go from not knowing each other. I go to some comedy shows. Carrie, he hosts and produces comedy shows all throughout North Carolina, South Carolina, Virginia, and started networking. And once again, through him, We've met some amazing, amazing comics and just people in the industry alike. So, Kari, I appreciate you for all you've done and how you support the RDU Live show and the RDU Live brand in the background. Special shout out to Kari Reed. Next, these are some heavy hitters. Man, you know, just kind of going through this list is crazy. Adam Lee Decker. Adam Lee Decker. If you don't know who Adam Lee Decker is, you must not be from the Triangle. Adam Lee Decker, he is a fan favorite here. He sings the national anthem over at the Hurricanes and at the Durham Bulls Park. He's been on American Idol and The Voice and all that kind of stuff. He's on America's Got Talent. America's Got Talent and American Idol. He's been on those shows. He hosts multiple open mic nights and jam sessions and shows around the Triangle at Southline Brewing, Kings, 94th Street Pub, Growler Girls, the Tin Roof. He's all over the Triangle consistently. Adam Lee Decker, I appreciate you for coming on the show. You've been on multiple times. You got to get you back on. You got to get you back on. So Adam Lee Decker, I truly appreciate you and just how you support the RDU Live show in the background. This is amazing just to kind of think about. I'm actually doing this live. I've had this list running and I have not looked at it. So I'm looking at it and talking at the same time. Who do you got next? Aaron McCoy. Aaron McCoy, I appreciate you. I appreciate you for taking that plunge and coming in and giving and dropping some nuggets, some wise words on here. Persistence and consistency, all of the above. Aaron McCoy is worldwide. He is the definition of a worldwide touring musician, and he took the time out to come sit here and have a conversation with yours truly. So Aaron McCoy, I appreciate you for being a part of the RDU Live show and the RDU Live show experience. Next, we got Wimp Media. Wimp Media, Camus Leonardo had them come on the show, and I really appreciate them because they brought a whole different style. So at that particular time, that was Camus's first show, and he brought something totally different. So if you kind of heard everybody else was, you know, a comedian or a musician kind of deal, and he brought in Wimp Media, and they do the gamut. They put out some great visuals. Great visuals for Instagram and YouTube. And so shout out to those guys and all the good work that they're doing here and literally across the country. You got to go to their Instagram page and see like they travel across the country and do their thing and have so many different segments about food and all kind of stuff. All kind of stuff. Go check out Wimp Media. Appreciate you guys for coming on the platform and being part of the RDU Live show. Next, he actually didn't make this show, but he came on. It's Shame Gang. Shame Gang. Shout out to Shame Gang. We scheduled him, and I forget the reason, we weren't able to have the show, and then we were able to schedule him again, and he actually made it. So like that, you know, that persistence and consistency. Shout out to Aaron McCoy. That persistence and consistency, I appreciate that. I appreciate that because that could have been a one and done. He could have said, "Hey, can't have the show. Well, I'll see you later." And he said, "I'll see you later," and literally meant it. Shame Gang. If you don't know who he is, you might not be in the hip hop circle. I don't know, but he is doing some big things all across the Triangle, North Carolina, the nation. He's one of those guys. He did the New Year's Eve concert there in Raleigh. He's Kings all over the place. All the venues around. Shame Gang is probably on the ticket. So shout out to Shame Gang and everything that he has going on. Joel Venom. He's actually been on the show twice now. Shout out to Joel Venom. I appreciate you for coming on the show. Joel, he's a musician. He's a producer. He has a very interesting mind and an interesting take on how he produces, who he works with, how he works with different people. And he has a collective, and they have a whole team of producers and beat makers, if you want to say, that are doing some amazing things. I think they just opened up their spot again. They have a spot called The Portal, and it's like a small event space, kind of thing, where they're building a community, like I said, of beat makers and producers and hip hop artists. And Joel Venom is leading the charge with that. So I appreciate you, Joel, for coming on and sitting on the show with us and having a conversation. I appreciate you. Next up, it's my boy. Shout out to Taiwan. Mr. City of Medicine on Instagram. Shout out to him. Reached out to him. He's a local artist as well over in Durham, and reached out to him, and he said, yeah, man, I'd like to come on the show and have a conversation. And ever since then, we've been rocking. He actually helped me get some gigs to host the show here and there. He's one of those guys, man. Good dude, making some music, putting together shows, working with business owners to just make moves in the Triangle. He has Diamonds by Nature, which is his company, where he's, hosts shows and helps artists out. He has a heart to help people, and it shows. So Taiwan, man, I appreciate you, one, for coming on the show, and two, for just being who you are and doing what you do. Keep the good work up, man. Keep the work up. Next, we got LD Beats, the legend. Shout out to LD Beats, the legend himself. LD Beats, he is a part of many collectives, but it's not even just the collectives, the Genius Party. It's not even just that. It's just the concept that LD Beats use the term beat maker, producer, but he is putting in consistent work, putting the Triangle on his back. It's like one of those things where 20 years from now, when they're making a documentary about the 919 and in 2023, 2020, whatever, LD Beats is going to be one of those producers that we talk about. He's going to be one of those mainstays in the Triangle that we talk about for what he's doing and how he's doing it, with class personified, a family guy that's making music, that's putting other people on, networking, collaborating, and just being a good dude. So shout out to LD Beats. He's one of those people that you look up to in the industry as far as the impact that he's making on the local scene here. So shout out to LD Beats. Thank you for coming on the RDU Live Show and just being a part. You were actually on with your wife that episode. I can't forget that. You were on with your wife, Amina. Shout out to her. Both of them. They're like a super couple here locally, making things happen. If you don't know who they are, go check them out. Let me see if I got their Instagram. Yeah, LD Beats 2800. LD Beats 2800 on IG. And go check them out. Both of them are doing some amazing things. And shout out to the new little one out there. All right, let's keep moving. Next up, we got Darnell Showcase Taylor. I have to say it like that. I got to say it like that. Darnell Showcase Taylor coming on, another worldwide musician. I'm talking worldwide, world renowned, however you want to put it. Phenomenal musician, guitar player, and just musician of musicians. Once again, class personified, one of those guys you look up to in the industry. I appreciate you for coming and sitting on and having a conversation with me. Shout out to Darnell Showcase Taylor, and he has a new track out. He has a new record out, Nights in Napa. We actually previewed that record right here on the RDU Live Show. This was months ago, and now it's officially out. So make sure you go check out Nights in Napa on all the streaming platforms. It's one of them tracks you don't want to miss. Shout out to Darnell Showcase Taylor. Who else we got on here? Colin Williams, another phenomenal musician in the area, a saxophonist. I say saxophonist, but he plays a lot of instruments, a lot of the wind instruments. I don't know how do you classify that? A wind instrumentalist or something like that. He's in the area once again, gracing the stage all over the Triangle. He's also a teacher. He teaches music. So you got to give a shout out to a teacher teaching the kids, man, music and art. He's an artist. We had a conversation about just being a whole person. He's not just a musician. He's also a teacher. He's also an artist. And we had a very good, interesting conversation about how we can all respect ourselves and respect other people for them as a whole, not just putting them in a box. So I appreciate you, Darnell. I'm sorry. I appreciate you for having that conversation with us, Colin. I appreciate you, Colin. I got my Collins and Darnells, the L's mixed up. I appreciate you, Colin Williams, for coming on and having that conversation with us. Who else we got? Oh, we switched it up big time. Chris Creech. Chris Creech is a local business owner in the area. He owns the Glass Jug Beer Lab. They have 2 locations, one in downtown Durham and one in what they consider the RTP area on Highway 54. He's one of those mainstays now. He has 2 local watering holes that fuel the economy and fuel the community with much needed beverages. No, but seriously, Chris Creech, I appreciate you for coming on this platform and trusting me enough to have a conversation and protecting your brand. I appreciate that. I genuinely appreciate that. When, before we do a lot of musicians and you came on as a business owner to really round this thing out. And I appreciate that so much. So look, we also had Brittany Scott, once again, another entrepreneur. We went on a little run of entrepreneurs. She's an entrepreneur, a podcaster, a webcaster. She has a little magazine. She has a lot of things that's going on. I shouldn't say a little magazine. She has a magazine that she runs, and I appreciate that. And for you coming on, I think she had her little one that came into the studio and just made it well-rounded. That was an episode that Dame hosted, because that's who Dame is. That's who he is. We appreciate you for coming on and being part of the show and sharing your perspective on the world. She talked about single motherhood and working, and we really appreciate you coming on, sharing that perspective, and making the RDU Live Show really well-rounded in what we talk about, what we converse about, and what we engage on. Really appreciate that one. Next, who do we have? We had Marcel Anderson. Oh my goodness, Marcel Anderson, another heavy hitter. Marcel Anderson is another worldwide singer. When I say worldwide, I mean he tours around the world. All right. These are singers, but he's based here locally in the Triangle. Phenomenal singer. Talking about the whole person. Marcel Anderson also runs a nonprofit organization. He runs a nonprofit organization, multiple nonprofit organizations, actually. He has acceleratingmen.org or something like that, where he helps mentor young men and talks about a lot of tough issues, such as sexual abuse that happen to men. Once again, making the RDU Live Show well-rounded. So phenomenal voice, touring musician, but also a phenomenal human being that is doing some really great work in the community. So shout out to Marcel Anderson. I appreciate you for coming on and sharing your story and who you are with the RDU Live Show and all the listeners out there. I appreciate you, Marcel Anderson. Travis Bullock, my man Trav. The Premium Sound Band, Travis Bullock, the Mary Jane Experience. If the Mary Jane Band and the Experience, if you don't know Travis, you got to get out and see some of his shows. One of the best performers in the Triangle. I was saying that a year ago. I literally was saying that a year ago. And then a couple months ago, he came out with the Mary Jane Band, and they're literally going viral on the internet with their shows that they're having. They got another one coming up, I want to say in late September, October, or something like that. Of course, we'll be shouting it out on the show. But Travis Bullock, I appreciate you for being who you are, being the person that you are, being open enough to have a conversation about how you were and how you came about into this music industry, losing your mom and all of that kind of stuff. And also putting on a good show, man. Putting on a good show on the stage. Travis Bullock. With Travis Bullock comes the Premium Sound Band and the Mary Jane Band, all of that. Mary Jane Band is a tribute band to Rick James. It's a tribute band to Rick James. So he has the whole wardrobe, the look. He goes full on Rick James. He goes full on Rick James, and they put on a Rick James show. Okay, a Rick James show. All right, so shout out to Trav. I appreciate you. Look who we got coming up. I might have to go a little quicker. Essie Sings. I appreciate you. Essie Sings, local musician. Shout out to you, local musician here in the Triangle, doing a lot of things. Not just a musician, she's an actor. She's works behind the camera, in front of the camera, behind the guitar, in front of the guitar. She does it all. And she came and had a really good conversation with us. And from this conversation, she had a couple magazine articles that came out that she shouted us out on. So I appreciate you for that. But thank you for doing what you're doing around the Triangle and then coming on and having this conversation with us. So shout out to Essie Sings. I appreciate you for being on the RDU Live Show. Look, I don't know where in it happened to have Dame hosting. I think Dame brought on the Genius Party in this time frame. So the Genius Party, once again, we talked about it a little bit with LD Beats, but shout out to the Genius Party for everything they're doing in the community. Once again, a collective of producers and beat makers. They're putting on shows all across North Carolina where they're giving producers a space to come and showcase their beats. You don't see that a lot around here, but now you do because of the Genius Party. And it's literally shows where you can come. They have some artists that perform, but it's really centered around games. They have video games out there, but it's centered around beat makers coming and showcasing what they have. They're building a collective, a community, and I'm really ecstatic and appreciate that they came on this show to talk about what they're doing and just literally have a hip hop conversation. Dame did some trivia with them just about true hip hop heads. And I mean that in the best way possible. They're just a collective of guys, women and men, who love hip hop and love music and making it, all types of genres. They just love it. And it shows in the shows that they do and all the work that they're putting in. So shout out to the Genius Party for coming and gracing the RDU Live Show. Wafiq Zarif, once again, worldwide comedian. It has been just a complete honor to watch Wafiq go through this process. You know, met him through Karee Reed. Shout out once again to Karee Reed. Met him through him, and it's just watching him blow up and really the grace and the way that he does things, who he is. If you ever talk to Wafiq Zarif, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure just to have a conversation with him. But to hear his stand up and the way he goes about it and just the way he is blowing up over the last 3-4 months, and to just say, I knew that guy. I know that guy. And I was able to interview Wafiq Zarif. It's that special moment. And so I appreciate you, Wafiq. I know you're busy right now. I appreciate you for taking the time out and having a conversation with me right here on the RDU Live Show. Who else we got? Vinny Dangerous. Well, I appreciate you. Cam has had you come on and sit and have that conversation once again. Good dude. The people that come on the RDU Live Show are some quality people. Vinny Dangerous is an artist in the area, doing his thing, putting on shows. He has a podcast. And a lot of times, you know, when people have podcasts, they don't really like to go and be on other people's show. But he was willing to come on our show and have a good, deep conversation about his music, his album, and just hip hop in general. So, Vinny, I appreciate you for opening yourself up and coming on our RDU Live Show and having a conversation with us. I appreciate you, Vinny Dangerous. Next, we had Patrick McGrew. I appreciate you, Patrick. I appreciate you. He's a local musician, a local drummer in the area, also a teacher. He has his own school. Been seeing him around in the Durham jazz scene, trying to get him on. He's a busy guy, and we were finally able to do it. Once again, a genuine conversation just about music and about who he is in the music industry and where he's trying to go, how he's come about. I appreciate you, Patrick, for coming on and sharing your story right here on the RDU Live Show. Black Portrait. I appreciate DeAndre and Camara for sitting down with us. If you don't know who the Black Portrait Collective is, you need to start knowing. They're relatively young in the Triangle, but they are moving at light speed. They're putting on shows. They have like 7 or 8 artists that are a part of it. They're putting out music. They do art. They do food. They do clothing. They're just a collective of people that have come together to do art in a way that honestly hasn't been done before. I was watching a little clip and like the logo is black and white. And the reason I think Shamel, the reason that the logo is black and white is because they're going back to originality. They think deep. Black Portrait, DeAndre and Camaro, they came and sat on the show and had a conversation, but shout out to Black Portrait in general. Thank you for supporting the RDU Live show and collaborating and working with us. I only look forward to what's to come for you all, for us, and what we can do together. Shout out to you, Black Portrait, for being a part of the RDU Live show. Who else we got? Christian Turner. Christian Turner came on. Christian Turner, another phenomenal person. And I'm saying all these things genuinely. This is no script. Christian Turner is one of those genuine guys. I listened to the interview. Tyra Lynn had him on. I listened to him and just what he's trying to do, who he is as a person. I think he's only 23 years old. He's only 23. I was like, what? Guy sounds like he's 43 with the amount of life. Shout out to Christian for his service. He was in the military. Now he's doing music. And he's just one of those well-rounded people. Shout out to you, Christian Turner. Thank you for being part of the RDU Live show and sharing who you are and your story with the listeners right here on Oak 93.5. Shout out to you, and I appreciate you. We also had Mac the Black Sheep. Mac the Black Sheep. Once again, genuine conversation. He's originally from Fayetteville, South Pines. I know I'm getting it wrong. I'm doing it on purpose. Fayetteville, Southern Pines, all of that. He's up and coming. I shouldn't even say up and coming. He's kind of there. He's kind of there already, doing shows around the state from Charlotte to Fayetteville to Raleigh. He's got that voice, that rich voice, that hip, and then he's got the words, the wordplay. He talked about the poetry behind the music and how he collaborates and just dove into who he was as an artist. So I appreciate you, Mac the Black Sheep, for coming on and sharing your story right here on the RDU Live show. DJ Kid from the Hill. Shout out to DJ Kid from the Hill. If you watched the show, you already know. And if you didn't, I really would like for you to go back and watch that show because DJ Kid from the Hill is just one of those people that you need to know. He's a local DJ in the area, and he is making a lot of waves. All puns intended there. Go back and watch the show. You'll understand. He's making a lot of waves, and he's doing some really good things. Seriously, he's doing some really good things in the Triangle for local artists, for local musicians, but also just for listening experiences in general. He's making his waves on the socials, the TikTok, the YouTubes, the Instagrams, but also doing it on the stages here in the Triangle. So DJ Kid from the Hill, I appreciate you, and I look forward to keeping the collaboration going and the network going with you. So I'm looking forward to what we're going to do in the future with you in the RDU Live show. Look, I want to give a special shout out to everybody that's been a part of the playlist shows, the playlist concerts. Look, the playlist show, we've been putting together just a list of local artists, at least once a month. So thank you. Please keep submitting your music. We're going to keep that thing going. And now we're actually going to do this thing in person. So September 28th, 2024 will be the first playlist concert live. We're going to have it at Ruma in downtown Raleigh. It'll be September 28th. Starting at 4 p.m. is going to be the networking session. And then at 7 p.m. is going to be the actual concert. So 4 p.m. the networking session, get yourself there. And then 7 p.m. we're going to start the concert. And the concept of the concert is we have 3 hosts, myself, Tyra Lynn, and Camus Leonardo. Each one of us will choose 3 of our favorite artists. We're going to choose 3 of our favorite artists, and All 3 of those artists are going to perform that night. So 3 hosts, 9 artists, 1 vision. That's the tagline we chose to use. 3 hosts, 9 artists, 1 vision. And what we're going to do is showcase our individual 3 artists one by one. And then at the end of the night, whoever's sitting in the crowd can do a small judge of who wins, which host had the best playlist. That's the concept of the concert. So 3 hosts, myself, Cameron McCarty, Tyra Lynn, and Camus Leonardo. Each one of us is going to choose 3 artists apiece to perform. And at the end of the night, the crowd gets to choose which host had the better playlist. That'll be September 28th, starting at 4 p.m. Concert starts at 7 p.m. at Ruma in downtown Raleigh. Shout out to Ruma for having us. Shout out to Ruma, once again, another staple of the community, doing a lot of good work for diverse communities and all of that. And so they're gracious enough to allow us to come in and host our event, our first ever in-person playlist concert. And I was about to say series because you already know how we work. Once we start it once, we're going to keep it going. So if you're not on this one, if you're a local artist out there listening and you're not on this show, we're going to have some more coming. Keep submitting your music in so that we can get it on the radio, and then that'll translate to the in-person concerts. That's kind of how we're doing this thing. All right. I'm coming at the bottom of the hour now. I had to shout out everyone individually because this is what this show was about. 1 year of an RDU Live show and all the people that have made it happen. I appreciate every single listener, every single guest, the team that we have built in the background, Marissa Bryan, Tyra Lynn, Camus Leonardo, and myself. We appreciate everyone that's just hit the like button, hit a share button, did a comment, any of that, all of that. We appreciate you. And we look forward to what we have moving forward. All of the networks and all the collaborations that we've built. It's only going to keep going, and it's only going to get better. So if you would like to be a part of the RDU Live Show experience, you like to come be a guest, you like to help out at the live concert, you like to be a part of the live concert, any of that, reach out to us. The best way is on Instagram. Is the RDU Live Show. You can reach out to us at the RDU Live Show at gmail.com. So same as Instagram, the RDU Live Show or the RDU Live Show at gmail.com. Reach out to us there, and we love to get back with you and see what you can do and what we can do together. So I'm at the bottom of the hour. Something I have to shout out. Hey, the open mic night is back. CJ, I have to say it like this. You already know CJ Baker and the crew. It's Tuesday and the open mic night is back. They're back in the original spot. It was called Hey Ty Collective Kitchen and Cocktails. Now the name has changed. I want to say it's Rhythm and Brews on Fayetteville Street and in Durham, over there across from the Hey Ty Heritage Center. They're going to be there. It starts at 9 now. You know, they're going to have a featured artist and then a jam session, an open mic, all the above. If you haven't been to one, you need to come to one because it's back and better than ever. So CJ Baker and the crew, I appreciate you. If you haven't been to Spring Rose downtown Durham, so many amazing events going on. This Thursday, you need to get yourself there for a real estate event. We're going to be talking about mortgage origination and real estate funding and financials, all of the above. Spring Rose, a good community spot to hang out, eat some good food, all of the above. Spring Rose, CJ Baker's open mic. It's a full week. Make sure you're getting yourself down there. Go to our Instagram page, the RDU Live Show. Hey, this is your host, Cameron McCarty. I appreciate you for tuning in. And like I like to say, let's go live.
Oak 93.5 is a low-power FM service brought to you by Triangle Access Broadcast.